from. They may favor you or unfavor you, but I came to prophesy over you. You are not a mistake. UFI is not a mistake. Makandiwa is not a mistake. The act may be wrong, but the product is not a mistake. I've not started my message. Say switch. Hear this. In the Old Testament, not until the curtain that divided the holies of holies from the holy place was torn into two, there were only three personalities in the Bible that had access to the Spirit of God. It was either the prophet, the king, or the priest. Just three entities who had access to the Spirit. In the days of Samuel, the king Saul had been rejected by God, which means that this time around there could only be two entities that can have access to the Spirit of God, because the king has already been rejected by God, and the two left was the prophet and the priest. Now Samuel was serving as a prophet and as a priest at the same time. So in the whole of Israel, the only one that had access to the Spirit of God was Samuel. And can you imagine the hope of Israel, who could hear from God, that the Spirit of God can speak to? He beholds Eliab, the firstborn, coming, and he declares, surely the anointed of the Lord is coming. Surely. What a disappointment. The only hope, the only man we trust and have hope in, is now saying that Eliab is the anointed of the Lord. Hear this. I don't blame Samuel, because in the history of Israel, there had come only one election to the throne of a king, and the only election was the election of Saul, and that was the only election Samuel had witnessed. And the only election he witnessed was the election of stature, the election of height. And the day Samuel saw Eliab coming, he said, oh, I know how the Lord elected Saul. The election of Saul was an election of strength, was an election of stature. So I know God shall do it again. And I know how God did it in the first place. And the greatest enemy of the church is, I know how the Lord did it. The greatest enemy of the flow of the Spirit is the denomination spirit that said, I know how the Lord works, I know how the Lord maneuvers. But I come to tell you that the election of David is different from the election of Saul. Don't think that God shall do it with David like he did it with Saul, because this is a new day, because this is a new season, because this is a new moment. Whenever you have witnessed God before, there is the tendency of you thinking that that is the only way God can work. And when God doesn't do it your way, you say it is not the way of God. There are some who think that they know God. But ladies and gentlemen, there is no one who knows God to the ultimate.